On September 15, 2008, millions stared at screens as their life savings simply evaporated. But if we rewind the clock just 12 months, a quiet fraction of the ultra-wealthy were preparing for the collapse. They were setting a psychological trap, so subscribe if you want to understand how this mechanism absolutely operates. While the middle class reacts to market crashes with pure biological panic, the elite treat it like a shopping spree. How exactly do they isolate themselves from the terror of forced liquidation when the rest of the world goes bankrupt? The first specific move is building what financial psychologists call a liquidity moat well before the bubble pops. The famed Oracle investor from Omaha stockpiled $38 billion in cash by late 2007. He knew that possessing immense liquidity is the ultimate weapon when institutional arrogance blinds the wider masses. The ultra-wealthy systematically hold 18 to 36 months of living expenses in highly secure Treasury bills. This creates an impenetrable buffer, insulating them from the overwhelming psychological terror of any forced sales. But liquidity alone cannot explain their immense gains, which leads us to the classic flight to quality rotation. Historical trends suggest that before a major bubble bursts, smart money quietly abandons highly speculative assets. Instead, they deliberately shift massive amounts of capital into boring, inelastic consumer staples like basic food. They buy shares in companies selling everyday toothpaste and local public utilities, prioritizing absolute necessity. They understand a profound psychological truth, which is that human necessity easily survives volatile market sentiment. But how do they finance their aggressive moves when the banking system freezes and access to credit completely dries up? The wealthy deploy a specific shield by securing long-term fixed-rate debt against their prime assets well beforehand. By establishing this debt at a guaranteed low rate, they intentionally allow rising inflation to erode its real value. This clever mechanism rigorously protects their cash flow while the central banks scramble to stabilize the economy. With cash safely secured and their daily necessities funded, they are positioned for the most brutal phase of all. It is a psychological inversion often referred to by institutional traders as seeing blood running in the streets. This demands profound cognitive dissonance, requiring them to aggressively buy assets when everyone else is selling. Instead of viewing absolute market capitulation as a fatal threat, they process it purely as a mathematical discount. But how can any normal person replicate this cold rationality when everything around them seems to be falling apart? The secret lies in understanding that the real villain destroying your wealth is absolutely not the broader economy. It is not the Federal Reserve, it is not the local commercial banks, and it is not even the national government policy. The ultimate villain that forces you to sell at the absolute worst possible moment is your own biological amygdala. When you observe the red lines plunging across a Bloomberg terminal, your brain simply registers a physical predator. This biological panic response is exactly what the smart money always anticipates during an inevitable market collapse. The defining elite move is certainly not having access to secret investments that regular retail investors cannot buy. It is utilizing rigid automated systems that completely eliminate human emotion from the equation when panic strikes. They set up automatic scheduled investments like dollar-cost averaging into broad index funds to bypass daily decisions. But the most crucial step of this defensive strategy involves something that feels completely counterintuitive today. If you want to master these elite financial mechanisms, subscribe right now before we reveal the final defensive move. The wealthy explicitly delete their portfolio tracking applications during a severe downturn to enforce total ignorance. They know that ignorance of daily market fluctuations is a highly effective psychological shield against panic selling. When you combine the liquidity moat, the flight to quality, and strict blind automation, a recession transforms entirely. Ultimately, the ultra-wealthy protect assets by engineering portfolios that exploit the psychological collapse of others.